Good morning. Good morning. It's the 15th of September, Wednesday. Good morning to all our freedom fighters worldwide. Good afternoon to the east coast of Canada, including Ontario and Quebec. Good morning to Manitoba, Saskatchewan, British Columbia, and Alberta. And good morning to half of the United States. Good afternoon to half of the United States. This is the time in the day when half of our country, half of our region is entering the uh, off lunch break and half of the states are still waking up or not waking up, maybe just starting their day and making their way to work or making their way to their home office. I'm your host Joey Salvador. You're listening to Freedom Fighter Radio. We are broadcasting live simulcast on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and our Zeno app. This is Freedom Fighter Radio. Today is Wednesday, September 15. It's a beautiful day in Toronto. You are listening to Freedom Fighter Radio only here on The Ordinary Joe. Let's start the show right now.
Freedom Fighter Radio, what is up? Whoa! Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio and Joe. You're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right,
always. Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful.
Yes.
Hey guys, this is Chris Sky. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today, back in the blue, and so am I.
It's just another Ordinary Joe Show. Welcome, welcome, folks. Welcome, everybody who are joining us from multiple platforms today. Today is a beautiful day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in this beautiful day. Although the energy is a little low than usual, we are thankful and God is going to be our strength. The joy of the Lord is our strength. So we are going to continue on with this show today. And it's a little heavy topic, but I think everybody will pick up a lot of information from this. And I realize every time we try and come on noontime Eastern Standard Time, everybody is about to go to lunch. And so it takes a few minutes before everybody can join in. But hopefully, while everybody's having lunch right now, that you're enjoying listening to our program. And welcome to all our Zeno FM, Freedom Fighter Radio app listeners. Let's go there right now and check out how many people are tuning in. Wow. People are flowing in. Thank you. Thank you. Praise the Lord for this opportunity to be broadcasting live on Rumble, YouTube. Let me look at the channels here. Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and Zeno app on the Freedom Fighter Radio app, FM. So, folks, we have been talking about some of the things that we are expecting to be rolled out in society this next few months. And we know that the tyrants and those who are campaigning for the Great Reset and the Agenda 2030 and all that, and all those who believe that we should enter a human 2.0 or a post-human industrial world, they are marching on towards their agenda. The tyrants, the globalists, and the evil forces of the planet continues on. They're moving forward with their plans, but we are going to move forward with our faith in God and how He will save us from the tyranny. Good morning to David W. Carlson. Thank you very much for subscribing to our mailing list and spread the word. Folks, have you heard of the metaverse? Metaverse. This is something that I always wanted to talk about, but it is a very big subject. It's not a subject that we can easily cover in one sitting or one episode. I think this will be a series of episodes to talk about because um, a lot of people sort of cannot see the end game here. The end game is really to lock people up in their own homes, not allowing anybody to come out, and everything that they can suck from human value, from a human life, they can suck it up from humans while they stay at home. So the way I see the future, it really looked like the movie The Matrix, except we don't necessarily need to be plugged in physically with a tube sticking from the back of our head, with and cables sticking at the back of our head and interface into the matrix, into the computer. We don't need to fall asleep to enter, just like the movie. What do you call that movie where uh, they have to fall asleep and then they all have a shared dream? That is a fantastic concept. But in the end game, I see that none of those are necessary. Those are wonderful concepts just to kind of demonstrate similarity to the end game that um, the tyrants are envisioning for humans. First of all, let's establish that the tyrants, or we call them the globalists, the tyrants, but in reality, I call them Satanists. They are really agents of Satan trying to move Satan's agenda forward in the world for humans in creation. And their real vision for humans is to annihilate human beings. These people really don't like the idea of humans. And if we go even further back, remember that Lucifer was the angel of light. He is the most beautiful angel before he got tempted and thought of himself as more powerful than God. So he struck a coup d'etat. He started a coup d'etat and he took a third of all the angels, the population. And I'm just trying to imagine how many angels are there. I would imagine they're in the billions. They they are probably more numerous than the number of humans living on Earth right now. And think about it. What is the capacity of this planet? How many humans can it accommodate? Even though a lot of fear mongers are saying we are close to 9 billion people on Earth and the planet will not be able to sustain such kind of heavy population. I really am convinced that they're just lying, and God created this planet to accommodate, I would say, 100 times the current the current state of our population at 9 billion. Come up to Canada, folks, if you don't believe me. Canada has full of empty, vast land, uninhabited, empty spaces in northern side of Canada, and even in Ontario. There's a lot of empty spaces, and so sometimes I wonder why does the social engineers and as a matter of fact, why does the city engineers design our society in such a way that everybody compacts into little spaces in downtown areas and jack up the price of trying just to live a normal life in a small, 30 by 30 apartment. Meanwhile, there's actually vast lands of empty space out there unutilized. And this planet can accommodate, I would say, thousands, hundreds of billions, if not, um, what's next? Millions of billions? No. Oh, wait, wait. So we are trillions, I would say. Okay, there you go. I got it. Trillions of people. I think this planet can accommodate trillions of people. But the fear mongers were being even when I was a child, back in my grade school days, all of our teachers are already drumming up and brainwashing all of my classmates and myself that population is a problem, that we are overpopulated on Earth. Back in the 80s, I remember some of the concerns of the teachers and the students. They like to talk about, overpopulation. And back in those days, we also think about the nuclear war, that people are so afraid that the nuclear war might happen anytime. So we had exercises where we duck under our desks, hide under our desk. But at the same time, a lot of kids in our school, there's a lot of virtue signaling kind of wokeness. Even back in the 80s, there's a lot of wokeness already where um, people are campaigning. I remember in the doors of our corridors in grade school, people are into saving the whales, saving the trees, saving a lot of all kinds of what's the word for it, when an animal is about to get extinct. Those species that are about to lose, about to go into extinction. So even back then, they talk about all of the things that we are kind of facing now in reality. They've been drumming up the idea of overpopulation. There's no such thing as overpopulation, in my opinion, and there's no such thing as scarcity. God created this planet to sustain life, and the scripture says that the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. And I really believe that there is enough resources to go around, yet it's the problem of distribution. When supply chain management kicks in, and these are artificial way of distributing resources on Earth, that's how scarcity, or the perception of scarcity, is created. So let's establish here before we go to the metaverse conversation that all these tyrants, all these globalists, let's establish the fact that they really think of humans as the virus of the planet. They are anti human. They don't like humans. Where do you think that sentiment came from? People who don't like humans. Why? Why are they so adamant about their hate against humanity? Well, again, let me reiterate. I think that can be traced back to Lucifer's hatred of humans. So when God created man, in the book of Genesis, it was said that God created man in his image and likeness. So he created men and women, thus, God created them. That can be found in the book of Genesis. But when God created man, and since he created man in his image, uh, Many Bible scholars have called it as God's masterpiece creation are human beings. And so the angels, and sometimes this confused me because there are some scriptures, what I heard, that when God created man, he created them a little lower than the angels or a little higher than the angels. I think it's a little lower than the angels. However, God really put all of his attention and love to humans. And so the reason that Lucifer really got motivated in doing his coup d'etat, the, the real reason for it is jealousy. The angel of light, the most beautiful angel, Lucifer, became deeply jealous of the man, the first man, Adam, the creation of God, the masterpiece of the Lord, the human being. And there's no such creation in all of creation where it was said in scripture, none other than humans were created in the image and likeness of God. So Lucifer uh, launched his coup d'etat against the Lord, and he thought that he could be even more powerful than the Creator. And he took a third of the angels to fight alongside him and try to take over the kingdom of God. But then they miserably failed. I cannot pronounce my words this morning. I couldn't sleep last night, folks. So I was wanting to do this earlier, but I just couldn't open my mouth. I couldn't talk. But a commitment is a commitment, and there are so much for us to cover. So it's a very mild sacrifice to be giving to to do this radio program on a daily basis because we are up against a real enemy. And I really, I'm really convinced that we have to fight this fight on a daily fight. We cannot let up. We don't have much time. They are here. They're on the gates. The enemies are at the gates. I know that all those who have given their trust in the Lord will not need to worry about the enemy because God has not appointed wrath upon his believers and his followers. And I believe that the Lord will be timely in rescuing his children. And if this is really the worst, and if this is really the end times as prophesied in Scripture, the Scripture also provided that those who are elect will be ruptured out of this planet when that time comes that the tribulation is about to happen. So, as a Christian and as a believer of Christ, we don't worry about the tribulation. I really believe that we are not going to experience the tribulation. However, the tribulation seems to be at the gates. The enemy seems to be at the gates now. But if this is not yet the time, I think it is also our duty. We don't know when the time is. Only God knows when the time is for the end game, for the end times. But until we are verified that it is the end time, I think it is our duty to fight against tyranny and to push back against evil. Because if it's not yet the end time, then it means we're not going to be ruptured out of here yet. So it means we have to live in this habitat, and our children will grow up on this planet. So we have to fight for it. So we have to fight until we don't need to fight anymore. That's my thought about all of these tyranny that is sticking its ugly head now, and everybody can see it. So, folks, I don't care whether I'm too tired or whether it seems like people are getting tired of fighting. I will keep going. I will keep fighting, and I hope you will join me to keep fighting and keep on growing our audience members so that many people, many more, will be able to hear the message, and many more will be able to wake up. So, yesterday we're talking about some sentiments in the freedom movement. saying, forget about the sheep. Forget about the sheep. They don't want to wake up. They choose to embrace their captors. They choose to enjoy their Stockholm syndrome. So forget about the sheep, some people say. Let's move forward. Let's save ourselves. If they don't want to save themselves, if they don't want to listen to our message, condemn them to their choices. Well, folks, a time will come that we don't have a choice but to leave them behind if they choose to stay in the darkness. But until that day is clear that we have to move on without them, I think we have to try our best to save as many as we can. Let's go to our comment section. David has a couple of comments here. David, thank you for giving me company today. Transhumanism, bioconvergence via AI, and DNA manipulation via medical tyranny. Exactly. We're on the same page here, brother. And David, for all our radio listeners, David Carlson is one of our loyal um, listeners and viewers of the show, and many others are also having their lunch right now. I always have a bad timing when I go live. That's because of my sleep pattern, really. Everybody, please pray for my sleep pattern is just all over the place. I cannot sleep at night most nights. Anyways, going back to the comment section, David Carlson was saying the globalists also believe they receive their legitimacy or raison d'etre. Hey, I like that. Sounds very good French. But honestly, I don't know what that means. Raison d'etre. By saying we are saving the planet by eliminating people in order to preserve it for future generations. However, what they are really saying is we deserve to survive and the useless eaters don't. Sounds cynical, but it's not. You are perfectly on point, David. That is exactly what they're saying. And they're using all this virtue signaling, these buzzwords to basically they don't have any intention to when they say greater good for the good of for the greater good, for public health, for all of these are just virtue signal buzzwords. They don't have any slight intention to have any motive in their hearts to have any good for humans. They don't like humans. They don't like humans. They want to get rid of humans. Do you guys remember that segment in the movie Matrix where Agent Smith was saying, I can smell humans are the virus of the earth, right? Do you remember that part? Not in exact, those are not the exact script, but there was a part in that movie where Agent Smith was calling humans as the virus of the earth. And that movie actually reveals a lot of future events about to happen. And again, talking about virtual signaling and buzzwords and things of that nature, that's exactly how they're going to cook us like frogs in a pot. Is to make us to make us comply by thinking that whatever they're rolling out are the cool, the trendy, and the awesome thing to do. Folks, don't go away. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going to continue on with our conversation about metaverse and what is it and how is it going to change our lives forever.
Freedom Fighter Radio. What is up? Whoa!
Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio. And Joe, you're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right? Always.
Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful.
Yes. Hey guys, this is Chris Sky. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today, back in the blue, and so am I.
Please consider supporting the OJTV production costs and be an insider member for only $3 a month. Go to patreon.com/OJTV Canada. Thank you for your continued support.
Canadians all across the country are sick and tired of the lies, the fear-mongering, and the hate speech they hear from the mainstream media. Download the free radio app, Freedom Fighter Radio. Click the link below, scan our QR code, join our mailing list, and get a free download of our Freedom Fighter Radio app only here on OJTV on The Ordinary Joe Show.
Canada's best days are ahead of us, but we need to get the country back on its feet and back on track. 12 years in the Air Force taught me you need a plan for every mission. Canada's recovery plan will get the economy surging in the right direction for all Canadians from every walk of life. Recover 1 million jobs, tough anti-corruption laws, mental health action, securing Canadian-made supplies, balancing the budget. Enough talk. Let's get to work. Secure the future. Vote Conservative.
Freedom Fighter Radio, what is up? Whoa!
Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio. And Joe, you're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right? Always.
Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful.
Yes.
Hey guys, this is Chris Guy. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today, back in the blue, and so am I.
Please consider supporting the OJTV production costs and be an insider member for only $3 a month. Go to patreon.com/OJTV Canada. Thank you for your continued support.
Canadians all across the country are sick and tired of the lies, the fear-mongering, and the hate speech they hear from the mainstream media. Download the free radio app, Freedom Fighter Radio. Click the link below, scan our QR code, join our mailing list, and get a free download of our Freedom Fighter Radio app only here on OJTV on The Ordinary Joe Show. It's just another Ordinary Joe Show. You're listening to Freedom Fighter Radio only here on The Ordinary Joe. I'm your host, Joey Salvador. It's a beautiful day today, Wednesday. Tonight is Power Drill Politics. We were initially supposed to have a special guest, but it seems like the special guest from the Conservative Party of Canada has kind of did not follow up on us. So it's most likely just going to be me and Richard again, having a one-on-one conversation about the current state of the election in Canada. But folks, thank you for tuning in. It's a low energy day for me, but a promise is a promise, a commitment is a commitment, and we are going to trooper through, and we are going to march through because God is faithful. The God who created, the God, our Lord, who started a good work in us, will be faithful to complete it in us according to the scripture. So we are going to be faithful in serving the Lord and serving the people with whatever capacity we have. And fighting the tyrants, this is one way to fight the tyrants, is to fight tyranny with information. And we'd like to give all of our listeners information and also insights about information that we gather and have that opportunity to have that exchange. And from time to time, we have low turnout on live shows, but everybody still tuned in on the recast or the rebroadcast or the rerun. So, continuing on with our conversation, we're talking about Humans 2.0. And Jabby Jabbies, I think, is the actual pretext, or not the pretext, but that is the turning point. Many people will be converted into a GMO because they choose not to use critical thinking or to question whatever their government is giving out and rolling out for them. They give them 100% of their trust. So with that, instead of putting faith in God and trusting the Lord and exercising that spirit of discernment, a lot of people will be walking into their demise. Unfortunately, that is just, I'm just stating the fact. Well, I would think that some of you or many of you who listens to this radio show actually understand many of scripture principles. And one of them principles in the scripture, it was said that the road to destruction is wide and easy, uh, but the road to salvation is narrow and difficult. um, Walking into someone's demise, someone's destruction, someone's pain, eventually, it's easier to take that path. I'm not. I should start doing some memory verses again because those are not the right words. The exact words I think is the path to destruction is wide and easy, but the path to glory is narrow and difficult. Something like that. Not in those exact words, but you guys, you get the gist. So I wouldn't be surprised, and I am not surprised at all, that most people are not questioning anything about the jabbies as critical thinkers, and that's a problem also. Public school system in North America have stopped teaching kids how to exercise critical thinking. Even back in the 80s in the Philippines, I remember one of the things that made me start feeling bored about school is school has become more of like who can memorize the most, who can memorize the best, but you're not really using your critical thinking or problem solving skills. It's those who are put on pedestals and given awards and recognitions are those who can memorize instead of those who can analyze. Why do we need to force humans to memorize? That's what computers are for. Well, it's good to have a lot of knowledge and familiarity with data, but if you are just like a data storage, you have just, you know, went down, demoted yourself as a computer database or hard drive instead of a CPU. And we should ascend over, yeah, the intelligence level of a computer. What is a metaverse? The word metaverse is made up of the prefix meta, META, meta. I think Am I pronouncing that correctly? It's made up of the prefix meta, meaning beyond, and the stem, verse, VERSE, a back formation from universe. The term is typically used to describe the concept of a future iteration of the internet, made up of persistent shared 3D virtual spaces linked into a perceived virtual universe. The metaverse is a broader sense, in a broader sense, may not only refer to virtual worlds, but internet as a whole, including the entire spectrum of augmented reality. So apparently, let's read a little bit about the history of the metaverse. Apparently, the concept has been around for a long time. And here it says since 1992, Neil Stephenson's science fiction novel Snow Crash, where humans as avatars interact with each other and software agents in three-dimensional virtual space that uses the metaphor of the real world. The term was coined in Neil Stephenson's 1992 science fiction novel Snow Crash. So Stephenson's used the term to describe virtual reality-based successor to the internet. Concepts similar to the metaverse have appeared under a variety of names in the cyberpunk genre of fiction as far back as 1981 in the novella True Names. Stevenson stated in the afterword to Snow Crash that after finishing the novel, he learned about Habitat, an early MMORPG. Do you guys know what that is? Let's right click on it. M O MMORPG means a massively multiplayer online role playing game. MMORPG. Okay, it's a gamer's terminology. It is a video game that combines aspect of a role playing video game and massively multiplayer online game. So an early MMORPG which resembles the metaverse. I'm just wondering, do you guys know the history of Facebook, right? So here, let me read to you a little bit a very concise version of how Facebook started. Here's the timeline: 2003 to 2006. It was called the Facebook. It's not just Facebook; it's called the Facebook. And between 2003 and 2006, the Facebook got a big investment from Thiel, um, and the name changed. So everybody probably know who Peter Thiel is, right? Let me see. Maybe we have a hover over Peter Thiel. Where's Peter Thiel here somewhere? Okay, I can find it. Let's move. Let's move on. Between 2006 and 2012, public access, Microsoft Alliance, and rapid growth. Can you believe that, right? So within how many years? That's so 2003 to 2006, only 3 years, and only 2 years after the 9/11 attacks. Just kind of put your thumb on that. Put a little tab post-it note there for now. Okay, just keep in mind North America was attacked in 2001, the World Trade Center, right? The 9/11 attacks, that's 2001. 2 years later, 2003, the Facebook was born by, can you believe it, huh? Mark Zuckerberg in his garage. He created the Facebook. And you have to watch the movie The Social Network, and there is a lot of debate if he actually did it or some of his friends created the Facebook and he stole it from his friends. My thoughts are he didn't even have to steal it. These were the entire concept. This was created by the CIA, and they need a boy genius as their avatar or their mascot, and that's where Zuckerberg came in. Same as Bill Gates. When Bill Gates was the boy genius to launch Microsoft, he didn't have any computer acumen. He's an avatar. He's a mascot for Microsoft. And okay, folks, I don't have any proof of this, but I'm just connecting the dots. And these are, well, Okay, let's call it conspiracy theory. I'm theorizing, but there's a lot of, if you dig in deeper, there's a lot of plausibility about my theory, about this theory. And I totally believe, I don't have any proof of it, but I have a strong feeling that the Facebook and even the Microsoft, these were created by the CIA, and they need a mascot, a boy genius mascot, to be the face of the creation, right? They cannot just say, "Hey, Facebook by the CIA." Nobody will trust Facebook. Do you think people will start using Facebook if it says Facebook by the Central Intelligence Agency? No, nobody's gonna use Facebook because the CIA has very, very bad reputation for decades now, and we know all kinds of dirty work that the CIA does in other countries, and even in their own, uh, among their own citizens. The CIA works dark deeds within the United States. So, 2001, 9/11 attacks. What's the very first thing that happened right after the attacks, right? Let's just kind of remind ourselves what happened right after that. The very first thing was, it struck a lot of emotion among Americans, and the drumming up of revenge started right there. Revenge. We have to fight back. Somebody has to pay, right? You have to look at a new documentary on, you can find it in many streaming channels. It's called The Turning Point. And you will see that there is one senator, a female senator, who were actually pushing back against all of the unprecedented extra powers that are being granted by the Congress, both the upper house and the lower house. When I say the Congress, I'm talking about the lower house and the Senate. They all very, very quickly pass a bill to give the President of the United States unprecedented powers, all in the name of an invisible enemy. And that's a problem, folks. We are always faced with an invisible enemy. So, what are the invisible enemies? It's not like back in classical warfare where a country um, uh, declares a war with another country, so they are in war with each other, but you know who your enemies are. For example, the Americans are in Cold War with the Russians, or the Americans were in war against the Japanese. You know who your enemies are. But ever since the drug war, the war on terrorism, now the war on the virus, these are all um, non-tactile concepts of the boogeyman. What's another word for it? This is what happened, folks, when I only have an hour of sleep. My memory bank of vocabulary is buffering. Buffering. It's buffering. I cannot bring up the words that I want to use. But continuing on, what is the metaverse? The concept cyberspace, which first appeared in the short story Burning Chrome by William Gibson, Omni, July 1982, was a central theme in his 1984 groundbreaking novel Neuromancer. The metaverse is distinct from the more inclusive concept of cyberspace that reflects the totality of shared online space across all dimensions of representation. Unlike, for instance, in a fictional concept introduced in Neuromancer, which was typified by a Cartesian separation of body and mind. The metaverse allows its user to access its environs while still aware of their world. This is demonstrated in a technology called invisible to invisible IV2 that Nissan is developing. Nissan, the car maker Nissan, huh? Which overlays a car's windshield with virtual information as well as features that include an ability to summon an in-car 3D avatar. Whoa. I think it's well, they will say, don't worry, you're not going to be distracted because you won't have any control of the car anyways. We're going to take away the steering wheel and the pedals, the brake pedals, the gas pedals. So you're not even driving your car. It's like getting on an elevator. You don't have any control. You just like press the button and say, you're going this way, you're going to this floor. But that's what the future cars is going to be. They're all going to be called pods. They're not even cars anymore. Like a car that you drive, the concept of a car, the mobility, the freedom to choose where you want to go, the freedom of mobility, the freedom of travel that we are enjoying now, it's very, very quickly going away. It's part of the Great Reset. Don't be surprised about it, folks. It's part of the Great Reset. So there's a lot of technical terms here, but maybe if I can use my own words to describe what I believe what metaverse is going to look like. Actually, before my own interpretation, let's listen to some of how Zuckerberg is describing in his mind what a metaverse is going to be. Here's some of the things that Zuckerberg said with his interview with The Verge. He said, I think a lot of people, when they think about the metaverse, they think about just virtual reality, which I think is going to be an important part of that. And that's clearly a path that we're very invested in because it's a technology that delivers the clearest form of presence. Presence. Folks, again, put a post-it note, thumb, what do you call that? Like a tab. When you put those little post-it, little tab notes to mark a page in a book, like a bookmarker. So put a bookmarker right here. Presence. The word presence. Okay, because the word presence, the terminology presence, will also be transformed in another 2.0 version of presence, or being present with people, or being in the presence of a friend of or a coworker or a player multiplayer game, or a the presence of a of business meeting. And it has been coined for many years now, what they call telepresence. So you're present in the virtual world or in the metaverse world, but you're not physically present in the real world. But they say, so that's why you don't really need to care about travel. Why do you care about travel? You can do everything from the comfort of your home. Is it really the comfort of your home or the prison that you used to call home? But everybody is now being acclimatized and conditioned to feel that there's no need to leave home. Everything that you need to do in life, you're gonna be born, you're gonna grow, and you're gonna grow old, and you're gonna die without leaving the comfort of your home. That's your entire world is your home. And you know what? You're not gonna own anything. You'll be happy about it. You'll be happy about it. Because the tyrants know that if you are sad, if you're feeling unhappy, all we need to do is inject a little bit more endorphins into your brain, and then you won't complain anymore, right? And you won't be such useless eaters because you're gonna eat a lot less because you don't need a lot of those calories. You don't need to burn a lot of calories because you're just sitting at home every single day of your entire life, staring at the metaverse, transacting in the metaverse, doing all of your business, everything in the metaverse, banking in the metaverse, gaming with your friends in the metaverse, having business meeting in the metaverse, dating in the metaverse, mating in the metaverse. That's how it goes, folks. Little by little. Just like, do you remember the opening in that movie, The Matrix, where everybody is just in their little bubble and they're not even fetuses anymore. They're like adult human beings in a little sort of like, hmm, what can we call that? Like a little bubble that looks almost like a life size uterus, where you're floating on amniotic fluid, even though you're 50 years old, you're still floating on amniotic fluid. But the only difference is that you're not connected to your human parent via your umbilical cord. You're connected to the metaverse via that cable from the back of your head. And again, just to reiterate, the movie The Matrix is a demonstration to understand the concept. But in the metaverse world, you don't need any wires, you don't need any cables. Actually, you don't need any mouse or any keyboards. You can interact with your computer. Oh, by the way, you don't even need a monitor. Oh, that would be awesome because my monitor keeps on breaking up on me. All of our regular viewers of the podcast knows that they're getting tired of the back of my head because I keep on looking backwards on the backdrop monitor supposedly because my front monitor is not working. But in the metaverse, you don't even need a monitor. You can see everything with, well, the older version or the dinosaur version would be what Facebook calls the Oculus. What is the Oculus again? That is a VR, AR sort of a mask that you put on your face so that you are blinded from reality and all you see is whatever you put on your eyes. Ah, forget about that. That's going to be obsolete very soon, too. That's going to be the dinosaur version of how you perceive the metaverse. All you need is your genetically modified pair of eyes, which is with if Canada is successful with its plan to convert everybody as the agenda, the taxpayer agenda called biodigital convergence, right? You're not gonna have biological pair of eyes anymore as we know it. It will be a digital eye that you will have inside of your eyeball sockets. So it's both biological eyeballs, but they're also digital eyeballs. It's gonna be merged so that your eyes also couples as digital cameras. And everything that you look at, everything that you interact with, all your conversations, all your interaction in the metaverse are all recorded. From the day you were born to the day you die, every single minute of your life is recorded by your own eyes. There's going to be a database recording everything that you look at, everything that you see, the sound of your own voice, and the voice of the other person that you are interacting with. Everything is recorded. So, in the metaverse world, you don't even need to swipe your card. You just have to say, pay this person or accept money from this person. And bling, 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 automatically it's added into your social credit score. The social credit score. Folks, we are on the dinosaur versions of what it's going to be, and we see all the early signs already everywhere. The enemy is at the gates. We are not far behind from a full tyrannical, full version of this human 2.0 or post human era. We're about to enter it, folks. And we're right here. We're right at the gates, about to enter the transhuman, post-human, post-human world. Decent people have a difficult time processing the concept of pure evil. It was much in evidence in the past during the Nazi regime, the Khmer Rouge in the Vietnam War, and 9/11 as examples. Evil exists, but so does good. There are more good and decent people in the world, so there is always hope. According to David W. Carlson, one of our loyal listeners to the show. Thank you, David. This is very insightful and very eye opening. Thank you so much. And one more additional line here. If the CIA wants a war, they will create one. Yeah, true. Very true. 100%. So, folks, I apologize for the low energy voice that you hear from yours truly. I promise you tomorrow we are going to regain our full energy, and whoever's sticking with me on the live show, thank you so much for doing that. But I believe that all the others who are listening right now on the recorded version, on the post live version, please come and subscribe on our Freedom Fighter Radio app. Please come and subscribe on our Rumble. And those who are listening to our radio app or Rumble, come over and please follow us on Facebook so that you can interact with us. Because I know that our radio listeners, as many radio listeners we have on the app, unfortunately, the app doesn't have comment section or where we can interact with our viewers or listeners in the radio app. So please also subscribe and follow our Facebook page, Freedom Fighter Radio Canada on Facebook, so that next time we go live, you can interact with us. But folks, don't go away. We'll be right back after these short messages.
Freedom Fighter Radio, what is up? Whoa!
Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio. And Joe, you're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right? Always.
Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful.
Yes.
Hey guys, this is Chris Guy. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today, back in the blue, and so am I.
Canada's best days are ahead of us, but we need to get the country back on its feet and back on track. 12 years in the Air Force taught me you need a plan for every mission. Canada's recovery plan will get the economy surging in the right direction for all Canadians from every walk of life. Recover 1 million jobs, tough anti-corruption laws, mental health action, securing Canadian-made supplies, balancing the budget. Enough talk. Let's get to work. Secure the future. Vote Conservative.
Please consider supporting the OJTV production costs and be an insider member for only $3 a month. Go to patreon.com/OJTV Canada. Thank you for your continued support. Canadians all across the country are sick and tired of the lies, the fear-mongering, and the hate speech they hear from the mainstream media. Download the free radio app, Freedom Fighter Radio. Click the link below, scan our QR code, join our mailing list, and get a free download of our Freedom Fighter Radio app only here on OJTV on The Ordinary Joe Show.
Canada's best days are ahead of us, but we need to get the country back on its feet and back on track. 12 years in the Air Force taught me you need a plan for every mission. Canada's recovery plan will get the economy surging in the right direction for all Canadians from every walk of life. Recover 1 million jobs, tough anti-corruption laws, mental health action, securing Canadian-made supplies, balancing the budget. Enough talk. Let's get to work. Secure the future. Vote Conservative.
Please consider supporting the OJTV production costs and be an insider member for only $3 a month. Go to patreon.com/OJTV Canada. Thank you for your continued support. Canadians all across the country are sick and tired of the lies, the fear-mongering, and the hate speech they hear from the mainstream media. Download the free radio app, Freedom Fighter Radio. Click the link below, scan our QR code, join our mailing list, and get a free download of our Freedom Fighter Radio app only here on OJTV on The Ordinary Joe Show.
Freedom Fighter Radio, what is up? Whoa!
Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio. And Joe, you're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right? Always.
Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful.
Yes.
Hey guys, this is Chris Guy. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today, back in the blue, and so am I.
It's just another Ordinary Joe Show. You're listening to Freedom Fighter Radio, only here on The Ordinary Joe. I'm your host, Ordinary Joe, Joey Salvador, coming to you live from the beautiful Midtown city of the fourth largest city in North America, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Welcome, folks, to all our listeners worldwide, all the freedom fighters. And we have listeners from the UK, Ireland, the United States, Australia, and many more places listening to us live on the radio app via Zeno.fm. People are also watching and listening through our Rumble, our YouTube, and multiple channels on Facebook. Thank you, folks, for tuning in and faithfully coming and sharing and spreading the word. It is important that we fight on a daily basis because the tyrants are fear-mongering, lying, speech, hate speeching. is that hate speeching? Hate speaking. Remember, guys, in the Toronto Star, just about a couple weeks ago, they published an entire half a page of hate speech against the unvaccinated. And they have been drumming up the President of the United States, Justin Trudeau, and many medical chief of health all over the world. Everybody sounding the same. They're drumming the same kind of drum beat. They're saying the same kind of message. They're all saying, Our patients are running out. Our patients are running out to those who refuse the vaccines. And they are packaging us as the ones that putting everybody in danger for not taking their toxic jabs. Well, if you're listening to me, tyrants, let me tell you something. My patients are running out with you. My patients are running out as well. And I'm getting sick and tired of all your fear mongering, your lying, your deception, your evil, actually, your evil faces. I cannot stand your evil faces anymore. I feel like I want to be face to face with one of these tyrants. For example, Trudeau, if I'm face to face with him, I'm not going to be screaming, heckling. I'm going to rebuke the demon out of that man. And let's see what kind of legions of demons living in that person's body. And I hope that his demons will manifest in one of his television appearances so that everybody will know that this man is operating in the influence of Satan. And not only him, but many men, many leaders, many tyrants, many prime ministers, presidents, and heads of states all across the world right now are all demon possessed. But I wonder how will people react if they started bubbling in the mouth and like bubbling out curses and demonic language and demonic utterances, and they manifest the kind of demons that's possessing their bodies in live television. I wonder how people would react. Hmm. What do you guys think? Would people all of a sudden wake up and say, "Oh no, these people that we've been following, we thought that are good people. Oh wow, they're actually evil possessed," or they will continue to be in a trance and would still continue to see them as, "Oh, I love this leader," because they're so hypnotized. And maybe they don't care about evil. Maybe they embraced evil. So that's why yesterday I was talking about how some of our brothers and sisters in the movement, they were saying, forget about the sheep. Forget about those who continue to believe the lies and who embraced the tyrants. They are enjoying their Stockholm syndrome. Let them be, right? So, do you guys see now why I understand when some people say those kind of words? I do. And there will come to a, a time will come that I will also believe that and maybe start embracing that because, anyways, the scripture says, don't ever throw your pearls to pigs. You know what happens when we throw pearls to pigs? Do you know what will be the consequence of that? That pig, that boar, that wild boar will not appreciate what you're doing. I just want you to know that wild boar will turn around and attack you. Never throw your pearls to pigs. But you know what? I have hope. I don't think all of them who doesn't want to open their eyes and listen to the message, I don't think all of them are pigs or wild boars. Some of them are sheep that just been lied to, been very fearful. But again, what did the word said? Without faith. Okay, let's do a connection here. One of the scriptures says, "Fear is the opposite of faith." And what's another scripture that is aligned with that, right? Another scripture says, "Without faith, it is impossible to please God." Hey, Justin Campbell, our brother from another mother, is in the house. Good afternoon to you, brother. He was saying, "Good afternoon, brother Joe." Hey, good afternoon, Justin. They will tear you to pieces. Exactly. We're talking about the pigs. Don't throw your pearl to pigs. And our brother Justin is just saying, or else they will they'll turn around and tear you to pieces. Exactly. And fear is a liar. So fear is, we've been talking about fear, folks. We've been talking about how fear, they don't even need to bring the actual boot on your face, you know. If you're already fearful, you might be the one asking your tyrant or your captor, please put your boot on my face. Do you guys remember on the deathbed of George Orwell? What did he say? What is the end game? When he was asked, George Orwell, what do you think is the end game? How do we know if we're under tyranny? Well, the end game looks like this. The end game looks like a person on the ground with a boot on his face, stomping on his head, on his face, nonstop. That is what tyranny looks like. So, for this last segment of the show today, folks, let's continue on. And tomorrow, we are going to continue with this. This is important. And some people don't like anything science fictiony kind of topic. But these are important. I really believe that everybody needs to understand what is about to happen here and why you should start waking up. And if you're awake, why you should start waking other people up to what's about to happen. And how can we help people to navigate away from this tyranny? In the post human world, in the world of human 2.0, or what we call the metaverse world, again, Mark Zuckerberg, the Apple CEO, and Amazon, they're fighting over domination of the metaverse. And Mark Zuckerberg himself was saying this will be the end of the internet will be the beginning of the metaverse, right? So metaverse will replace internet. And let's look at some of the other things he said. How he described what the metaverse is. And here's another theme that you will notice every time all of these big tech tyrants, these technocrats, are describing the sinister dark agenda that they want to roll out to put people into prisons. They're always going to use buzzwords that make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. And you're going to think that they care so much about you that you will embrace their ideas because they care so much about you. They want you to have such a good time. They want you to have such an experience of high technological experience in your life. And this is how Zuckerberg, the Zook, I call him, describes what the metaverse is in his very long interview with The Verge. And we're going to continue on with this tomorrow, folks. We don't want to go past an hour and a half on our episodes. Here's what he said. And I think entertainment is clearly, see, entertainment. They're basing it, they're always capitalizing on their tyranny is always sugar coated by entertainment, music, gaming, sports, all kinds of fun stuff that people seem to love to enjoy. And society is so conditioned to not think about the more important things in life because everybody is so sucked into the the NBA and the football, American football, and you know hockey and all kinds of sports and all kinds of American Idol and all kinds of reality shows, and everybody is just so sucked into television that there's no space in people's mind to think about what's really important in the world. So I digress, but let's go back to on topic here. The Zook, Mr. Zuckerberg, as he as he describes in his own words what he thinks the metaverse is going to be, and this is the world that he wants to dominate. By the way, folks, he wants to run as the president of the United States. Can you believe that? Believe it. He wants to. Here, the Zook says, and I think entertainment is clearly going to be a big part of it. We're talking about the metaverse. But I don't think that this is just gaming. This is the Zook talking, guys. So I'm just speaking his own words. Again, the Zook says, I think this is a persistent synchronous environment where we can be together, which I think is probably going to resemble some kind of a hybrid between the social platforms that we see today, but an environment where you're embodied in it. You are embodied in it. You are embodied in this environment. So, what's another word for that? I think what I like to use is the word cog. You're a cog. You're a cog in a singularity, in a system of digital computers and wires and meshes and all kinds of digital, and then you converge, right? Your biology, your embodiment will converge with the digital world. You're going to be a bio digital convergent um, being. Justin Campbell was saying they use deception to deceive people, using fear and playing on emotions of people to submit. Exactly. Exactly. Let's go back to the Zook's interview with The Verge. Another word here, another keyword I want you to put a tab on, a little post it note. The word synchronous environment. Synchronous environment. And dig up, research the word synchronicity. 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 Sorry, synchronicity. Okay, let's go back to the Zook's words. He says, so that can be 3D. It doesn't have to be. You might be able to jump into an experience like a 3D concert. Wow, cool, eh? Like a 3D concert or something from your phone. So you can get elements that a 2D or elements that are 3D. I'd love to go through a bunch of these use cases in more detail, but overall, I think that this is going to be a really big part of the next chapter of technology industry, and it's something that we're very excited about. The Zook is very excited about the metaverse. Okay, the Zook again. He says it just touches a lot of the biggest themes that we're working on. Think about things like community and creators as one, or digital commerce as a second, or building out the next set of computing platforms like virtual and augmented reality to give people that sense of presence. Do you remember earlier? I was telling you, put a tab on, put a little post it note right beside, or put a highlighter on the word presence and telepresence. I think of all these, okay, back to the Zook. I think of all these different initiatives that we have at Facebook today will basically ladder up together to contribute to helping to build the metaverse vision. And my hope is we do this well. The Zook is getting dramatic and very emotional about the metaverse. Let's listen again to the Zook. And he says, I think over the next 5 years or so, in this next chapter of our company, I think we will effectively transition from people seeing us as a primarily being a social media company to being a metaverse company. See, Facebook's not going to be a social media company anymore. It's going to be a metaverse company. Again to the Zook, he says, and obviously, All of the work that we're doing across the apps that people use today contribute directly to the vision in terms of building community and creators. So there's a lot to jump into here. I'm curious what direction you want to take this in. But this is something that I'm spending a lot of time on, thinking a lot about. We're working on it, Satan. Do you believe, guys? Do you believe that? Do you believe that the Zook really think about these things? Do you really think that he spends a lot of time conceptualizing, designing, crafting, strategizing, and he's working on it a ton? Do you believe that? Because honestly, I don't think. Does he? I don't know. I will come across as someone who's ah, but oh, okay. Let me just say it. Let me just say it. I just want to say it, folks. I just want to be totally transparent with my thoughts, with my opinions, with every one of you, because we have this relationship, you and me, you, the listeners, and me, your monologuer, monologuing, monologuing talking head here. But I believe that you and I, we have a relationship of honesty, right? So I'm gonna be honest. In the name of honesty in our relationship as listener and broadcaster in this radio platform, let me say this: I don't believe this. I think Dazook is lying when he says I'm spending a lot of time on, thinking a lot about, and working a ton on the metaverse. When he says things like that, ah, ah, cringy. No, I don't believe it, folks. I seriously don't believe it because I don't think he's a smart guy. Have you listened to the Zook when he talks? Even when he was in that congressional, those congressional hearings where he was summoned to testify, it's almost like you can almost see the invisible earpiece, somebody speaking on a two-way radio telling him what to say. It's like Joe Biden with an earpiece, and in the other room is Barack Obama telling Joe Biden what to say. But then sometimes his hearing is so hard, and he tries to ad lib, and then he fails miserably. If Joe Biden just listened to every word and repeat every word, the script that Barack Obama is whispering to his ear through a wireless microphone, and him wearing an earpiece so that he can say exact words that Barack Obama's whispering to his ear, then he will be just fine. He will just be he will be just fine if he just do that. But even that, he fails miserably to follow instructions. He cannot even just repeat the words being whispered in his ear. That's why he gets into a lot of trouble. But that's also what I think the Zook is. The Zook has this little earpiece and some CIA in some van outside of the congressional hearing is whispering to his ear how he will respond. And so you can see the stare in his eyes, the blank stares in his eyes, that you can see there's no cerebral processing. You can almost see through the window of his soul when you look into the eyes of the Zook. There's nothing going on up there, folks. Nothing upstairs. The upstairs is empty. The Zook is an actor, a mouthpiece, a someone who has an earpiece to repeat exactly what he's being told to say. That's what I really think the Zook is. The Zook doesn't have a brain. He is a mouthpiece. So he says exactly what he's told. Like I told you earlier, I really believe that the Facebook back in 2003. Let's walk back a little bit here. Okay, let me go back there. Okay, timeline history of the Facebook 2003 to 2006. It wasn't called Facebook, it was called the Facebook with the capital T for the word the, one word, and F is a lowercase attached to the word the. The Facebook, 2003 to 2006. What is the most historical thing that happened just before the 2003 the Facebook coming out to the world? What happened? Just 2 years before this, the Facebook phenomenon is one of the most horrific thing that happened on the planet, which is the 9/11 attacks, right? And what happened right after the 9/11 attacks? Okay, the president was given extra unprecedented powers. Powers to go to war. Powers to what else? What else? What else? Listen. The powers, the ability to listen in to all your telephone conversations, to read all of your emails. The NSA have been spying on its own people. The NSA has been spying on the American people with impunity since the 9/11 attacks. In the name of fighting against an invisible enemy, the war against terrorism, that they can spy on their own citizens. There's no problem. Where it's for your own good. Let's go back there again. Exactly what the Nazis says to Germany. This is for your own good. It's for the greater good. It's for the good of the country. It's for the greater good. It's for the public health. It's the good for the collective, right? It's all very Marxist. So the NSA started spying on people, gathering data, banking, and gathering. Just basically, they're just gathering and gathering and gathering and gathering and gathering. They're not even. They didn't even have the ability to peruse or analyze the data that they have. All they need to do at that time is just to keep on storing data. So what are the data that they are collecting at the NSA since the 2000 event? Phone calls, voice messages, emails, all kinds of communication within the country and their communication outside of the country. They're just gathering, storing on hard drives, upon hard drives, upon big terabytes and terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of data. That's all that they did. Now comes Facebook. Facebook was born in 2003. And what is Facebook known for? So you think by using Facebook, thank you, Zuckerberg, thank you, Zook, you're giving us free service. We don't have to pay for Facebook. You can use it for free. All you need to do is an email address and your photo. You create an account, and now you're on Facebook. What a wonderful world we live in. It's free, easy access. Thank God for Facebook, right? 2003 to 2006, it used to be called the Facebook, and it got a big investment from a big tyrant, Peter Thiel, big investment to get Facebook into operational. Do you believe any of these? I don't think so. Well, me personally, I don't believe it because what I believe is this, that Facebook was created by the CIA, but they have to create a story behind. Just imagine if Facebook was rolled out and they say Facebook by CIA, nobody's going to use Facebook, but they have to roll it out as Facebook created by this boy genius from his garage known as Mark Zuckerberg, and everybody believes it. But the guy looks like a beta male, uh, below average. He doesn't have that level of intelligence that you would expect from a boy genius. Same as Bill Gates. Do you guys have ever seen Bill Gates speak with some sort of eloquence or level of smartness? You know, he speaks like he has some sort of mental disability, and you see it from the mangling of his fingers when he talks. He looks like he has some sort of brain damage. And look at, if you don't believe me, just everybody just go on YouTube, collect all of the videos that you can gather of Mark Zuckerberg, and see if you can find any footage of him speaking with high intelligence. High intelligence, with eloquence, with no. I never seen any clip of this man, of this young man, speaking with any level of high intelligence. He looks like your below average American who, oh, like someone who's a what did they call it again? A soy boy. A soy boy who does nothing but drink soy milk and play video games in his basement. He's the type, a beta male soy boy, soy milk drinking, gaming, couch potato. I'm not being arrogant, folks. I'm just telling you because remember, you and I, we have, right? We have this relationship. I have to be honest with what I think. You and me, the broadcaster and the listener to this radio show, we have to be honest with each other. And I already made that pledge that I'll be honest with you. So I'm going to be honest with you. The Zook doesn't seem like the boy genius that they package him to be. He really doesn't look like a smart person to me. So when he says on his interview with The Verge that he is curious, he says, I'm curious with what direction you want to take this in. He is curious to the direction what the interviewer from The Verge want to take it in. Is that what he's saying? But this is something I'm spending a lot of time on, Zook says. Thinking a lot about, Zook says. Working on a ton, Zook says. Zook lies. And I think it's just a big part of the next chapter for the work that we're going to do in the whole industry. Liar. I don't think there's nothing going on up there. He is a soy boy with an earpiece in his ear, and there's somebody in the van speaking on a wireless microphone, talking points. Talking points. How he will be handling the interview with The Verge. Honestly, okay, let's admit it. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I don't have any proof of it. Yes, I will admit I don't have any proof of that. And that's a theory. It's a hypothesis. And that's how scientific method works, folks. Is you hypothesize and you deduce by way of elimination, connecting the dots, and interpreting data, analyzing information that you have. And that's the only thing I'm doing. All right, folks, we're about to close this episode. We went 4 minutes overtime. Let's close with a couple more paragraphs with his little interview with The Verge. And tomorrow we're going to continue on with this. He says, this feels like a fairly far future vision, even though parts of it are visible now and coming together. The Zook says, I think overall it feels like a very maximalist version of what the internet could be. You talk to employees about from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed, being able to jump into the metaverse to do almost anything you can imagine. And probably some of us are using the internet that way already. But well, let me tell you, folks, there is no sleeping. There is no break from the metaverse, from 5G. There is no break. Once you're opt in all the time, even during your sleep. The metaverse will be playing with your dreams, will be inserting thoughts in your head even as you sleep. There's no taking a break from the metaverse. You're plugged in. You're up in 24/7 from the time you were born to the time you die. That is the social credit score that they want to see rolled out into the planet. Folks, wake up. Folks, wake up. I know that we don't have a lot of live interaction right now, but people who will be listening to this on the post, please share this message. Get the link, pass it around. It is important, and leave a comment, even though it's not live anymore. Leave the comment because I will be visiting the post live version of this radio show, and I'll be reading the comment in the next episode tomorrow. So if you leave comments after the show is off live, then I will read it tomorrow during the live show. Last paragraph from the Zook for today, and there's more tomorrow, folks. And the Zook says, but this description feels more like the metaverse that might be familiar to us from books like Ready Player One or Snow Crash, or maybe like Fortnite today, where some of the most important aspects of our lives, including our work, are being lived and done inside these virtual spaces. Are those good analogs for the kind of world that you're talking about? Well, folks, the idea of the post-human industry, the post-human world is humans will not be roaming the face of the earth anymore. They'll be relegated, they'll be imprisoned in their own homes. We will be imprisoned in our own homes. No need to go out. They will deliver the ration for your food that well, you don't need a lot of calories. So the ration, the food that they will deliver to your home is just enough for you to be able to continue breathing and opening your eyes. You don't really need to move around. You don't need all the calories because everything that you need to do in your human activity on a daily basis will just be right there in the air quotes. I'm coding. You can't see me, but I'm doing it with my two arms, with uh, my pointing finger and middle finger on my right hand, and my pointer finger and the middle finger on my left hand. And I'm doing air quotes right now. I'm doing air quotes. You don't see it, but I'm doing it for your own good in the comfort of your own home. That's a plan. That's a plan. That's a plan for every single one of us humans, especially those who refuse the human 2.0 conversion of your genes that you can very conveniently get from the jabs. Don't take the jabs, folks. If you don't want to be 5G ready, don't take the jabs. If you take the jabs, blip, you are now ready to connect with the metaverse. And with that, folks, thank you for listening in. This is your host, Joey Salvador. You've been listening to Freedom Fighter Radio. And we are here every single day from Sunday to Fridays, a little earlier on Sundays, but during the weekday from Monday to Friday. So far, we've been starting around 11:45 noontime when people are on lunch breaks. And it's actually kind of risky when we do these radio shows on lunch breaks because, yes, people are not so busy at work because it's lunch break, but lunch break also brings a lot of distractions. and people can start looking at other things instead of listening to our radio program. And in this radio program, we relentlessly fight and push back against the tyrants, the lies, the deceptions, the fear mongering, and the hate speech from your mainstream media. But we are going to continue on with this fight, folks. We are not going to let up. Doesn't matter if they shadow ban us. God will make a way for our message to go through and be heard by every single person that needs to hear it. With that, folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in after the live show. And please leave your comments, even though this is not a live show anymore. Leave your comments. Like I said, we are going to read your comments for the next episode if you leave it right here. This is Freedom Fighter Radio, only here on the Ordinary Joe Show, Sunday to Fridays. Freedom Fighter Radio, pushing against the tyranny of the mainstream media. Coming to you live every day from the beautiful Great White North, from its midtown, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Freedom Fighters worldwide, God bless you. We'll see you again next time. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio only here on The Ordinary Joe. We'll see you again next time. God bless you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Freedom Fighter Radio, what is up? Whoa!
Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio. And Joe, you're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right? Always.
Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful.
Yes.
Hey guys, this is Chris Guy. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today, back in the blue, and so am I.
Please consider supporting the OJTV production costs and be an insider member for only $3 a month. Go to patreon.com/OJTV Canada. Thank you for your continued support. Canadians all across the country are sick and tired of the lies, the fear-mongering, and the hate speech they hear from the mainstream media. Download the free radio app, Freedom Fighter Radio. Click the link below, scan our QR code, join our mailing list, and get a free download of our Freedom Fighter Radio app only here on OJTV on The Ordinary Joe Show.
Canada's best days are ahead of us, but we need to get the country back on its feet and back on track. 12 years in the Air Force taught me you need a plan for every mission. Canada's recovery plan will get the economy surging in the right direction for all Canadians from every walk of life. Recover 1 million jobs, tough anti-corruption laws, mental health action, securing Canadian-made supplies, balancing the budget. Enough talk. Let's get to work. Secure the future. Vote Conservative.
Please consider supporting the OJTV production costs and be an insider member for only $3 a month. Go to patreon.com/OJTV Canada. Thank you for your continued support. Canadians all across the country are sick and tired of the lies, the fear-mongering, and the hate speech they hear from the mainstream media. Download the free radio app, Freedom Fighter Radio. Click the link below, scan our QR code, join our mailing list and get a free download of our Freedom Fighter Radio app only here on OJTV on The Ordinary Joe Show.
Canada's best days are ahead of us, but we need to get the country back on its feet and back on track. 12 years in the Air Force taught me you need a plan for every mission. Canada's recovery plan will get the economy surging in the right direction for all Canadians from every walk of life. Recover 1 million jobs, tough anti-corruption laws, mental health action, securing Canadian-made supplies, balancing the budget. Enough talk. Let's get to work. Secure the future. Vote Conservative.
Freedom Fighter Radio, what is up?
Whoa! Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio. And Joe, you're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right? Always.
Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful.
Yes.
Hey guys, this is Chris Guy. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today back in the blue, and so am I.